Welcome back to Lesson 6 of A Theology of Marriage. In these videos, we are studying important topics about marriage. As counselors and church leaders, we need a solid understanding of what marriage is all about, as well as important topics related to marriage, such as sex and sexuality. In our last video, we began to look at what the Bible teaches about sex, and we started to look at the purpose of sex. As we continue this discussion, we will see that God designed sex to be holy. Our cultural background will greatly influence what we think about sex, but we need to consider sex biblically and within the culture of the Bible. We don't want to believe the lies about sex that we discussed in an earlier video. In Judaism, the purpose of sex was to connect the body and the spirit. It's about bonding two souls, unifying them into one. Therefore, it has value for both pleasure and creating children. The Hebrew word used to communicate two people having sex means to know someone by observation, reflection, and experience. In Ephesians, Paul uses the word mystery to reveal something that was hidden in the past and is now revealed. One example of a mystery is the church itself. Prior to the coming of Christ, it was not known that God would make a people for himself that would be both Jew and Gentile, and that he would call those people the church. Now, people have been getting married since Adam and Eve, but they didn't know they were participating in a mystery that would be revealed in Ephesians 5:31 and 32, that a husband and wife are an earthly representation of the relationship between Christ and the church. Christ is holy, and he makes the church, his bride, holy. When Paul teaches about the mystery of marriage, he mentions Genesis 2:24. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Verse 25 says that the two were naked and felt no shame. This was the total acceptance of the other person as God's perfect provision. They would have been able to experience a long-term, holy sexual relationship until sin entered the world. This physical and spiritual connection of a husband and wife is God's plan. A man and a woman unite together so closely that they create a new thing, a marriage. In Tim Gardner's book, Sacred Sex, he says that sex is the celebration of the soul-deep bond that is present when a couple knows and experiences the certainty that they are together permanently for a divine purpose. They know their expression of love is meant to represent the loving relationship of Jesus and his church. Gardner also writes, since marriage has always been defined by God as two becoming one, the sexual union of a wife and a husband is the perfect God-intended oath sign that a marriage has been established. The two become one flesh. We speak an oath with our vows. We seal that oath with our bodies. Together, our words and our actions form a covenant. So sex is the seal between a husband and wife, the sign that they are one. Every time a couple has sex, they're reminding one another of the promises they made when they formed a covenant together in the sight of God. Therefore, sex within marriage becomes a covenant renewal service. That phrase, covenant renewal service, is from Tim Keller's book, The Meaning of Marriage. It is God's way for two people to repeatedly recommunicate their covenant commitment to one another. Through the act of sex, a person says to his or her spouse, again, I choose you and give my life to you and you only. Because sex is used to reaffirm a couple's commitment to one another before God, it's a holy act. Marital sex is holy and done in the presence of a holy God. In these videos, we've looked at several passages about sex, and we've discussed some of the purposes for why God gave sex to married couples. Here are some of the things we've learned about sex so far. God created sex for marriage. Sex is holy. When a husband and wife have sex, there is no need to be ashamed. Sex is a covenant renewal service. Sex is given for procreation, to have children, and it's given for pleasure. It is good and godly for a married couple, both husband and wife, to enjoy sex. A husband should enjoy his wife's body, and a wife should enjoy her husband's body. Sex is given to help a husband and wife to experience greater intimacy and oneness. Sex is good and is encouraged within marriage, but always sinful outside of marriage. A man may have sex with his wife and no one else. A woman may have sex with her husband and no one else. An unmarried person must not have sex with anyone. Sex is perhaps the most powerful, God-created way to help you give your entire self to another human being. Sex is God's appointed way for two people to reciprocally say to one another, I belong completely, permanently, and exclusively to you. You must not use sex to say anything less. Sex is a good gift from God, as we have seen in this lesson. Unfortunately, sex can also be used in so many ways that cause damage and destruction. In our next video, we will discuss sexual immorality, and we will look specifically at two issues that are destroying marriages in the church: adultery and pornography.